Hello, and welcome to the Lucy Liu Show, the fueling station for your mind, business, and life. And now, here's your host, Lucy Liu.
Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you for tuning in back to another episode. Lots of things going on in the world. Remember that fear is a reaction and courage is a decision. Are you making the decision to show up courageously right now? I love the Vincent van Gogh quote. What would life be if we had no courage to attempt anything in life? I have lived my life and made many bold moves to get to where I am today, and they all took courage to lean in. On today's show, I also invited my guest, Becca Starr, who is an inspirational speaker and business coach, especially for massage therapists. As previously, Becca was a successful spa owner. She transitioned into her new coaching career 10 years ago after a painful injury that changed the course of her life. She's also the host of the Beautiful You podcast, and together we're here to help you improve your mind, simplify your next steps, and live an extraordinary life. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Thank you so much for being here, Becca.
Oh, Lucy, thank you for having me today. I'm very happy to be talking to you. I love your podcast.
Thank you so much. You are such an inspiration. You're a speaker, you're a life coach. For those who might be short of a little confidence to lean into something they feel they're intuitively attracted to, speak to us about the courage to lean in.
Having the courage to lean in and feeling like you're inspired or you're being called to do something, and it requires courage. In order to do that, it really is kind of knowing where to apply the courage. So if you're called to do something, if it's something that's going to move the needle forward for you in your life or your business, and this is how it might look, you're going to think of 25 other things to do instead of that one thing. And just to know that by going a little deeper into the belief that you're resilient, you're going to make mistakes, this acceptance that you might screw up, just sort of the understanding that life can get messy, but you're going to do it anyway. And I think as an entrepreneur, sometimes, these days it looks like going live on your social media. That's a scary thing for many people, but it's going to move the needle forward. If it's having an uncomfortable conversation, it's an important thing to do, and the distractions keep us from what our heart is calling us to do. And usually what we're being called to do, it seems a lot bigger than it really, really is. And it's like this one step. What's the one thing we can do today to move the needle forward? What's one small step we can take today that's going to connect us more to our success, our vision, maybe improve a relationship or improve our growth? So what is the one thing? And trusting that we're not going to get it right. It might feel messy. We might screw up, but we also have resilience. We have other strengths, like we can love ourselves even more and be proud of ourselves even more. But a lot of times we get halted and we stop. And then we do the 25 other things rather than just doing the one thing. And I believe that for me, it's the trigger event in every single big success. It's been those little steps along the way that required some courage, and something I wanted showed up. But then I got scared, and I thought, for years I owned a spa business, and I was called to go meet, okay, you're going to go massage Queen Latifah at a poolside party. And I mean, the idea sounds great. Who wouldn't want to do that? It's scary as heck. It's really scary, to just show up to things that you're asking for in this world. And it's that kind of stuff, not that it's going to be Queen Latifah calling, but it's you're going to get invitations when you start following your heart more and your intuition is guiding you. And it's just saying yes and showing up.
A lot of times I think it's scary because we're looking at point Z as in zebra, and you're like, I will never get there. So it becomes more scary. Whereas you're talking about taking baby steps, and that's what I speak to my clients about all the time. These baby steps makes all the difference, right? You need to focus on where you are now, point A and point B. That's it. Right? We're not going to worry about, the XYZ yet. We're just talking about point A to B, and then we're going to move from B to C. And when you chunk them down to these micro actions, it's going to lead you to success.
Yes, because point Z isn't actually even real because we think we know what we're going to have to do or what it's going to look like. And it's why like the 90-day plans are so good, because once you get to the end of just 3 months of doing like something that's moving you towards your success, you're going to be a different person. Things are going to look different. You're going to have created so many different experiences or relationships may have sparked just in that short amount of time because you just went from A to B. You don't need to know what C is yet because C will light itself up. It will show you your intuition, like you'll know what to do next. And so Z actually doesn't even exist. It's not, you're going to define Z when you're, continuing to repeat A, B, C. I like the analogy because it's those very small steps that I think people get so just like really discouraged thinking of so far down the road. And it takes you out of the only thing you really need to know.
But there is another dance where as you're moving towards Z, you realize, oh, I actually like point A better, right? Yeah. So in that circumstance, even when you take the leap, you realize your original life was already beautiful, right? And then you can actually embrace that and live a better life.
Right. And it keeps us in the present and the quality moments. When we look back over a life well lived, it's only those quality moments, being present in those moments. And that's only done by staying in step A, point A, and then what's the next right thing to do.
Absolutely.
It's really like a life well lived by repeating, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. You do point A, what's the next step? Let's get to B. Okay, let's have gratitude for A and B. Now what? What's the next step? And we just keep sort of staying in just this moment. It's a spiritual warrior way to live because I think when we kind of look so far down, that's when, the Beatles song or whatever, it's like, then we look back and we've kind of like our whole life is over. We don't want that to happen. And we don't want to achieve a goal that actually in the end, really, we realize, oh, it doesn't even really mean that much to me. Like I got here, I can check it off my list, but does it matter? And when we stay in the very, heart of it, in just what's right in front of us to do, when we follow our intuition, we create and achieve these much more meaningful things and have so many more quality moments as we are getting there.
Mm-hmm. So what inspired you to start working with women and improving their mindset? Did you have a personal story where you had to take a courageous move to lean in to lead you to where you are now?
Yes. Did I have a courageous sort of a moment in my history? It's hard to pick just one because I am in my 40s now and there's quite a few. Where I've started from, you wouldn't really know. My audience does kind of get some insight, but it was just a very troubling childhood. I was on my own at 15. There was a lot of chaos. And so just to start with my self-worth and have courage that my life could be different and saying yes to these opportunities that would show up that truly were what we're talking about. Like, I was just thinking that I'd like to do this. And here's the opportunity. Now my mind, like, especially at 18 years old, was telling me, oh, no, just stay right where you are. Like, just stay here. Like, nobody's going to want to hear from you. No, that kind of all the insecurities. And just, this has now been like 30 years of just believing in something better. And I think when I met my husband, I was a spa owner at this point. I opened my first spa at 26, which required some courage. But meeting my husband and having him ask me to come out to California with him, like that seemed like there's so many logical reasons the mind wants to tell us to not do something that our heart knows is the right thing to do. And by just saying yes, like, okay, I'm going to say yes. And I'm just going to focus on the next step. Like, I'm going to not let the fear take over about what I think things should be or look like. And coming out here, opening a spa out here, just saying yes, somebody actually invited me into just to begin a spa business here in Los Angeles. My mind is crazy because it tells me all these reasons why I shouldn't do things that literally just for maybe a few months before my heart was calling me to do. And then maybe a conversation or a situation appears, and it's just crazy because I believe so many of us women in general live this way where our hearts know what they want. And if we can just quiet down enough to listen to that, we will get the opportunities. And they don't happen all day, every day. We do have to pay attention for them. But when something happens, it is amazing to me how often, even with my history of building patterns and, building a life off of having courage and taking steps that required, just that confidence that I'll be okay. This is what I wanted. Just say yes, go with it, see what happens. So I still, to this day, I will hear my mind say, no, it's just, I don't think I should no, I'm just going to stay home. I'll sit this one out. And it's so easy to say no because of a fear-based mindset. And so whether it's my marriage, the success I had as a spa owner, my life coaching business, now where I actually get to help women make these courageous decisions and just focus on priorities and what's next, it's every single thing comes back to just listening to your heart, quieting down your mind and saying yes, and not letting the mind start spinning with all the reasons why. Our mind wants to protect us and keep us very small. Even though our minds can think great and think big, it's like the logic that convinces us that it's not the right thing to do because we're scared.
So what advice would you give your client when they want to pursue something, yet they're afraid to take the leap?
What advice would I give depends on what's the most important to them. And I really help crystallize priorities first. And that really goes into what's your vision and what's your values. Like, what do you value the most? Because if you're balancing a marriage and children and a growing small business or whatever the dream is, when I talk to someone and I hear what's really the most important to them, we've got to nail that first. We got to, where is your compass even directing you to go? And to me, I might recommend the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. Do whatever you have to do. And if that technique works for you, do it, because it does work. For me, honestly, it's more like Nike, just do it. What's the next right thing? Let's first we prioritize, and then we decide what are some small effective actions. Those micro actions are inspired actions. And as a life coach, there's accountability. So then you're going to talk, again in 1 week. I work with people that are actually doing these micro actions, but these small little steps are all they have to do. And these great big things can happen. What happened? It was so weird. Then I was driving through this neighborhood and I saw this house, and that was exactly what I had just, it was maybe something for rent or something. And we were just talking about maybe up leveling a little in their, in where they lived, or, there's certain things what's the most important to you? You have that conversation first, things will show up. You'll get your intuition, your inspirations, and then having the accountability is huge because we have our 90-day plans, we have the long-term vision, but what are you going to do this week? And it doesn't have to be a ton of things. It doesn't have to be these really big things, but just do it. Just do it and have the support to just celebrate it once you've done it.
Oh, absolutely. You talked about accountability. Do you work with your coach?
Yes. Well, right now I'm actually working with a business coach. And in the past, when I've wanted to up-level my life a lot more, it's been through life coaching. And that's how I transitioned out of spa ownership into life coaching about a decade ago. And now I am mostly looking back over the last 2 years. It's been with business coaches, and I'm working with a speech coach to speak on stages, like to larger audiences, and actually to speech coaches. So it's what do I want the most and how can I get there, and who's done it maybe before me, who has the experience, who can coach me on this, like be my mentor. I feel like mentorship is the greatest ingredient to our success. Like there are people that have done what you want to do. Follow those people. Be in conversations with those people. Ask them, how did you do it? How should I do it? Can I work with you? Will you mentor me? And now we have this world of coaching. Find somebody that you resonate with. It's so huge. If you want to stay, on the same goal for 3 years, that's fine. But what if you could accomplish it in 3 months? That's even better. And that's what I found the most in the last, 10 years of working with coaches. It really takes the time factor away. Like if I'm just willing to show up and be coachable, things can happen so much quicker.
Absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I think the key word there was coachable as well, right? You have to be open to taking your insecurities and putting them to the test.
Yes, because it brings up a lot of those limitations you are living with. And that's the reason why you haven't succeeded or achieved it already, is because of, those belief systems that we kind of have to break through. And it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for everyone. But if you just show up with an open mind and you're just willing to be a little uncomfortable and take those actions, amazing, extraordinary things happen.
Oh, yes. I love it. What is your favorite quote?
I love this question. And you ask your guest this, I was wondering if you were going to ask me. It's the Gandhi quote, "Be the change you wish to see in this world." And I just know when something feels so out of my control, whether it's like a world tragedy or something in someone I care about, I see something happening in their life, if I can't control it, I feel powerless, and that feels a little scary and confusing, and I want to do something. If I want something and I don't know how to get there, I just have to embody what I hope for the most. So if it's world peace, if it's a spirit of forgiveness or, a positive mindset, those things will literally heal the world in my eyes. And if we were all doing it, if we all were to be the change, this world many problems would vanish. So for me, it gives me a sense of sort of empowerment in a way, because if I know that it just simply begins with me, that's all I need to know. That's all I need to focus on. So just be the change I wish to see in this world. And I just try to do that every day for the last 20 years. It's been my favorite quote.
But, even as a coach, there might be some times where you're feeling powerless, but we all know you have the superpower. So in those times, what do you do to reboot yourself and bring back your superpowers?
To reboot and reconnect with my superpowers. Well, I guess I have a short game and a long game. My long game is if it's just a bad day and things are just spiraling and I feel a little powerless and out of control, I got to get my head to the pillow that night and go to sleep, because when I get a night of sleep, I wake up refreshed, even if I don't feel as rested, because, I have 2 little kids, I have a growing business, a marriage, like there's a lot going on. So typically I notice in those first moments of waking up, it's my favorite time of the day. Like it's a new day. Anything's possible. Everything is sort of up to me. Like I can choose my thoughts. And it's because of a good night of sleep. But in the short game, in the moments, I tend to just kind of acknowledge what's going on. There's a lot of stuff going on. As a woman in general, even if on the surface it doesn't look like it, as a woman, we have a lot of ways to process information, a lot of micro decisions we make. And I believe that just honoring like, okay, there's a lot going on, even if I can't even see half of it right now. I need to focus on my breath work, my inhale through my nose, my exhale, slow it down, maybe hold it at the top of the inhale, hold it at the exhale. And then that in itself, no matter what's going on, I can always do that. And it's always a reset. And it's almost like that space I'm looking for in order to kind of redirect or reset my mindset and choose new thoughts.
and it's completely on you.
Yes. And I can do it anywhere at any time. And I don't need to have certain things in a certain way in order to do it. I can always do that, and it always helps. So I have a short game and a long game. Like in the moments, it's the breath work. If it's just like, oh my gosh, like just go to bed, Becca, like get yourself to bed. At nighttime, you're going to sleep, and there's a disconnect that happens when we sleep. We literally turn off our brains and we wake up and we can choose our thoughts in the morning.
Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. Where can our listeners connect with you online?
My website is beccastarr.com, 2 C's, 2 R's. And on social media, I am at Mrs. Becca Starr on pretty much every social media channel.
Okay, I'll be sure to include the spelling in our show note.
Thank you, Lucy. Thanks for having me.
To all the beautiful souls listening, thank you for joining me on this episode of The Lucy Liu Show. When I'm not podcasting, I am coaching high-achieving women in life transitions, getting unstuck, kissing overwhelm goodbye, and living a more joyful and fulfilled life through strategic goal setting and mindset transformation. It would mean the world to me if you subscribe, rate, or share this with a friend. And don't forget to join me for the next episode. Remember, there is always a way, and more blessings are coming your way. For free resources and show notes, head over to lucylucoaching.com.